everyone. Welcome, welcome. This is Nancy Amato, the Be More Stamper. Welcome to my Saturday stamping today. So, this new product is finally back in stock. So I wanted to make sure to show it to you while it was in stock. Hopefully it will last for a while. Actually, let me make sure I am on the right page and everything. Okay, good. Good. So, I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late today. I was still cleaning up my desk. I'm going to be honest with you. It was a hot mess. So, at least we have this area here that's clear to work with today. So, this is the card we're going to make today. But I am going to show you a few tips and tricks for using the Abundant Beauty decorative masks. Okay, they are on page 47 in the September through December mini catalog. And we are going to make this card today, which I kind of patterned after the sample card right there that they did. And the only stamping on this card is right here for the greeting. The rest of this design, the sunflowers, were done using a mask or a stencil and some of our blending brushes and ink pads. Okay, so the Abundant Beauty decorative masks are $10.50. They are back in stock. I double checked again this morning. They're still in stock. And the catalog number is 162331. Okay, so we're going to make this card today, and then I'm going to show you a couple of techniques also that you can do using the masks. So let me get started by showing you the different designs. Okay, so the one is going to be made up of these 4 masks or stencils, whatever you want to call it. So this is how we're going to do this sunflower and leaf design. Okay, so we're going to do that first. But I wanted to show you the other ones that are also included in this pack. There are snowflakes right there. So this is kind of the look you get when you do snowflakes. I used Blueberry Bushel ink on some basic white cardstock for this. Okay, so that is the look you can get with that. Alrighty, so that you have snowflakes. We also have this houndstooth design. So I did this one in the Blueberry Bushel ink, but I tried to do like an ombre look where it was a little bit darker at the top and then it faded down to the bottom. So we will play with that as well after we're finished our card. And then the third one of the extra masks that we have here is like a fall leaf design. And here is a little background that I made with that. And I'm going to show you how to do this as well. It's really quick and easy. It just involves a couple of different colors. And you do have to be sure to wipe off the mask in between each color, just with some dry paper towel. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that as well. But first we are going to do this card. So here are the pieces that we are going to need for this card. So our card base is going to be 8.5 by 4 1/4, scored right down the middle. No, 8.5 by 5.5. Oh my word, scored down the middle at 4 1/4. There we go. That sounds a little bit better, doesn't it? So that's our basic white card base. We're going to need a layer of early espresso, and this is 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so I'm going to just lay that over here as well. And then we have our layer hang on, I've cut a couple extras here. All right, these are for later, but I can trim that down. Did I not cut a 3 3/4 by 5? I might not have, so. Let me just take one of these quarter sheets here. Oh my word, here I thought I was ready. So let's cut this at 3 3/4. Okay, by 5. All right, there we go. This is the size we're going to use. This is what we're going to actually use for the masking. And then you will want some type of scrap paper on your table because we are going to hold down this piece of cardstock. And my favorite thing to use for that is Post-it note tape. And then I'm going to show you also, let me actually get a clean little piece of this so that it might be a little bit easier to see. You can use just any kind of, extra printout from your printer, whatever you have. Let's get a clean one though. Alrighty. So here is our little scrap piece of paper that's going to catch all of our little stray pieces as they float around. All right, so I am just going to put my basic white panel down here. I'm going to pull off a little bit of this Post-it note tape and then just tear it. Okay, and this is just holding this paper steady while we do the blending of the ink on there. All right, so these masks to make the snowflakes, oh lordy, the sunflowers are labeled up in this upper left corner right near this notch. It's a little raised number. So there's 1, and then there's 2, and then 3 and 4. And here is what we want to do. We want to lay this down, and you can see the basic white cardstock peeking through those sunflowers. And you want to move this around to where you want your oh my Lord, your sunflowers to appear. Okay. And now I'm going to just take another little piece of Post-it note tape. And I am now just going to hold this down here. And then one at the bottom and another one right here. Okay. So you'll notice this little notch here. This is like a little notch when you're sewing, or like a registration mark. So I am just going to grab a pen. Sure I am. Here it is. I was like, I knew I had a pen in here. Sorry for my arm. I am just going to grab a pen and mark right where that notch is. Okay, and also the 4 corners. This is going to just help me line up the number 2, 3, and 4 on my scrap paper sheet here. Okay. So this is just like a little registration mark so you can line things up how they're supposed to work. Okay, so you can see I just drew a little corner around all 4 corners, and then that little notch I also wanted to get in there as well. All right, our first color is going to be Daffodil Delight, and we are going to start off doing our sunflowers. Okay, so we're going to just do a circular motion in the top of the ink pad here to pick up some Daffodil Delight. And we're going to start in the center of the sunflower, and we're going to keep on moving out. Okay, so, and I keep changing directions too so that the ink gets put down in an even manner. All right, so here's our center part. And now we're going to move out to the outer petals. And you can see how the inside, near the center of the sunflower, is just a little bit darker than the petals outside. Okay, we're going to do the same thing again. We're just going to lay another layer of ink there, and again I'm going to start in the center because I want that part of the petals to look a little bit darker, and then I'm going to move out to the outer part of the petals. Okay, so there is our first sunflower. I'm thinking that looks pretty good. Let's move down to the other two at the bottom of the paper. Okay, again, I'm going to put this in the center. Now with these smaller sunflowers, if you have the small blending brushes, that may work a little bit better. I don't have any here. I have got to order some. Okay, so I am just like concentrating that ink in the center again, and then moving it out into the outer part of the petal. Now, you can also do a different color on here as well if you really want to make it pop, really pronounced. Okay, you could always do another color in the center again. For this card, I'm just kind of layering on the ink a little bit heavier in the center and then blending it out when there's not as much ink on the brush to get that 3D look. And these are called decorative masks. I am probably still going to call them stencils because, you know, I remember in the 80s when we were all stenciling our walls and all that kind of stuff. Who else is old enough to remember that, right? Hi, Nancy. Hi, Liz. You guys aren't old enough to remember that, but I am. So, yeah, you'll catch me saying stencils, but in the catalog they are called decorative masks. I'm guessing that is the new way of referring to them. All right, so what do you think of that? I think these look pretty good. I think we're finished with our Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to just move this over here out of my way. All right. Now, here's a hint for cleaning your masks or stencils. If you want to, you can kind of just take the first layer of excess ink off of there with a paper towel, okay? All right, and then it is ready to go once again for another layer if you're doing multiples of this card. All right, so I'm just gonna pull this up, remove my little Post-it note tapes from the mask, and then pull up the mask. And look how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh, I love sunflowers anyway. So you can see we can use this one again with the Daffodil Delight, but for right now I'm just going to tuck it right over out of our way. All right, now it is time for mask number 2. And remember those little registration marks in the corners we made? We are just going to line this up once again. Okay, using those marks, and use our Post-it note tape just to hold this down. Not a requirement, but I find that with my hands it helps if I have it attached down to my little work paper. Our next color is going to be Old Olive. Oops. Okay, so that is the mask that just fell in there. So, you know, this is real life crafting. We are just going to take our, there we go, take our chamois and wipe off that ink and probably put those masks over here instead. That might be a little safer place than propped up. Alrighty. I can always, you can always guarantee that I'm going to keep it real for you, you know, warts and all, right? Alright, so here is some Old Olive. And this is just going to go through the holes of those leaves. The sunflowers are going to be protected because that part of the mask is solid. Okay, so I am just adding some old olive in here. I'm going to load up the brush again because I do want these to be a little bit darker. Now I'm going to start down here. Okay, and then this leaf right here. Now these leaves do not touch the sunflowers directly. That is by design. So don't try to really line these up right next to the sunflowers. Alrighty, there we go. I think that looks good enough. Okay, we can close up the old olive. And I can move that brush out of our way. And just for right now, I'm just going to remove some of this ink, basically so I don't get it on my fingers. There we go. You can see it on the paper towel there. All right, now we can lift off our Post-it note tape that's holding our mask in place. Okay, so that is layer number 2. There we go. All right, we're ready for layer number 3 now. This is going to be the center of the sunflowers. And again, I'm going to do the same thing, just line this up in those corner marks that I drew on my scrap paper. And then hold this down again with some Post-it note tape. For this, I am going to use the new pecan pie. Okay, so there is that. Let me get the right brush here. So here is my pecan pie brush, and now I'm just going to go in a circular motion. Just like that, okay? The only place the ink is moving through to the cardstock is right here in the center of these sunflowers. So there we go. We're just going to build that up to however dark we want it, just by adding on some more layers of color. And you can see again, I'm changing directions and moving in a circular motion. Okay. All right. I think that looks good. Let's close that up. Move that brush out of the way. Now I can fold this over like this and just get a little bit of this ink off of the mask before I remove it. Okay, just with the dry paper towel. You don't want to use anything wet because then it's going to ruin your cardstock underneath. Okay, so here is that one. And I think that looks good all by itself, if you like just plain centered sunflowers. But the last mask just gives it a little more pop. Okay, so the last mask is number 4. And there's our notch up in that upper left corner again. So we are going to lay this down and line it up. And then just hold it down with some Post-it note tape. If you have washi tape, you could use that as well. And then this time we're going to use early espresso. And you don't need much on this, okay? You're going to go through here. And basically what this is doing is laying down a darker brown on the center of the sunflower while masking this little detail part with the little seeds. So there we go. I don't want it too dark. So I'm just going to use this amount. I'm not going to re-ink this blending brush again. I think that will be fine. All right, I can slide that over. And then let me just wipe this off real quickly. I'm going to show you how to clean these masks at your workstation. If you are not close to a sink, when you're all finished, I would just run them under some warm water and then pat them dry with a towel. But I am going to show you how to really clean them at your table if you need to change colors. Okay, so oh my goodness, there are our sunflowers. Aren't they just amazing? I love them. I just love them, love them, love them. All right, but I'm a sunflower freak anyway. Oh no, Liz, you're not that old. Oh my goodness. You were a baby when I met you. Just a little baby. I was the old married one by that time, right? I never stenciled my walls, but I can honestly say that border wallpaper that looked like stencils, oh yeah, we had that. Yippers. I'd be lying if I didn't say we still have it in one room. There we go. All right, so that is our card front right there. Now, we want to get this detailed embossing onto this panel. Let me show you close up. This is what the panel looks like that we just did. And that is beautiful in and of itself. But when we're gonna run it through with this new embossing folder, it is just gonna take it to a whole other level, okay? So this embossing folder is also in the September through December mini catalog, and it's called the Distressed Tile 3D embossing folder. And oh, I just love it, love it, love it. So let's bring in our, I don't know if you can hear her, we're dog sitting, and she's sitting over there, well, she's sleeping over there in her bed. And she must be dreaming because she's barking a little bit. I don't know that you can hear her, but it's kind of funny. Alrighty. So we're going to open up this embossing folder. Just put this right on in here. And I usually like to line up the bottom of the cardstock right with that line at the bottom there. We're going to put this in to the machine with the fold first. Okay, so I'm going to lay this on my platform number 1. Because this is a 3D embossing folder, we don't need another layer underneath it. And then we're going to put platform number 4 right on top of it. Okay, so 1, the embossing folder with the paper, and then number 4. And put your fold in first. There we are. And just crank that through. And we're finished with this. I'm just going to put that down on the floor next to me. And then, there we go. Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. All right, it is time to stamp our sentiment. And our sentiment is going to come from the So Sincere stamp set. That is on the same page in the catalog as these decorative masks. So it's page, what is it, 47? Yes, 47. So I chose the You're in My Heart and Prayers for our greeting today. And I've already gone ahead and die cut one of these flagged banners from the Stylish Shapes dies, which are in our annual catalog. And we're going to pull in our early espresso ink once again. And this is a red rubber stamp, so we don't really need a mat underneath of it. And we're just going to ink that up. Oops, hopefully I'm not getting my head in there or hitting the camera with my head. There we go. You're in My Thoughts and Prayers is done. Let me bring in my chamois. Okay, I can clean that off real quickly. All right, move the stamp set out of the way. Let's bring in our other layers that we had before. Okay, so this is going to go flat onto our bigger layer of early espresso. So I'm just going to use my Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue here. Just put a thin line, thin bead all around 4 sides. And then line that up how I want it and press it down. Okay. And then we are going to use some dimensionals. Flip that over. We're going to attach this to the card front with the dimensionals. There we go. This one I just ripped off the wax paper at the same time. I'm going to put one here in the middle. There we go. Okay. And then pull off those little pieces of wax paper. And then this is going to go on our card front right here. Okay. Now we're going to bring in our bone folder. And with these types of flagged banners, I like to curl up those little flags just a little bit. Just to give it a little bit of something, something. There we go. And now I'm going to just do a little curve in the middle here so you can see when this is done, the shape is just ever so slightly waved like that. Okay, just use your bone folder to do that. We need 2 more dimensionals. We're going to kind of put one there and one there. And then that is going to go right down at the bottom there. I just thought that was just perfect. The perfect size for right there. So you're not covering up too much of your sunflowers. And then you can write a note or have a verse on the inside if you would like. You could even stencil another sunflower right here in the corner, or do a layer of early espresso and then this layer and do a little sunflower in the corner of that. I may do that in a little bit. I wanted to show you though these other ideas as well. So this is our completed card for today, but I want to bring in my extra little pieces here. So let's get all of this out of my way. We're not going to need this anymore. Here is the packaging for the masks. Okay, so I don't need any of this, but I am going to need my little 4 little or 3 little quarter sheets of cardstock again. All right, so let's start with the easy one. Okay, let's start with the snowflakes. Now these are just done in the Berry Burst. I'm sorry, Blueberry Bushel. Blueberry Bushel, Nancy. So let's put down our scrap paper once again. Now, with these masks, you can see that the designs are all the way to the edge. So if you want a 3 3/4 by 5-inch panel, I would recommend starting with a quarter sheet of cardstock. So this is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then cut it down. Okay, and the reason for that is once we put the little tape here and there, then you will have little spaces like where the stencil doesn't have, or the mask doesn't have a lot of detail, and then you can just trim off those edges. Okay, so the easiest way I have found to keep our panel from moving now, because we don't want to cover up the corners with our Post-it note tape. So I take our mini glue dots, and I'm just going to push one onto the back. Okay, and lift up. So, well, we got 2 that time. That's fine. So can you see those little mini glue dots there? They're kind of shining. There we go. You can see them. So now I'm going to push this down onto my worksheet. Okay, so this is not going to wiggle. Now I can lay my mask right over top of where I want those snowflakes to appear. So I'm going to kind of slide them more to the left here so that I can trim off this piece here when we're all finished. And now this is when you're going to take your Post-it note tape. Grab yourself another little piece again. And this is where you're going to just attach it to the sides. Okay, this is just so this doesn't wiggle as we are doing the blending brushes. Now you want to be careful and not cover up any holes that you want the ink to push through, okay? All right, so we have 3 sides. I think that will be fine. We're having a little avalanche over here. Let's open up our blueberry bushel. This is a nice bright blue. I love this color. Okay, now we're going to load up our brush again in a circular motion. We're going to tap off the first little bit, and now we're going to very lightly come in circular motions, okay, and cover up these snowflakes. Now, if you wanted to, you could do these snowflakes in different colors as well by using our little thumb daubers, which are smaller, and applying the ink. But I just want to get an overall background kind of look with these snowflakes. So this is our first layer right here. Okay, so I'm going to load up my brush again. I'm going to tap off a little bit of the excess. This time I'm going to start down here at the bottom and get a really nice deep color into these snowflakes. Alrighty. I'm pretty proud of myself. I haven't brushed my finger yet. I shouldn't have said that out loud, because that's what I do tend to do, and then then it's a hot mess. Okay, so you can see all this ink on this mask. You can just kind of push that with your blending brush and get that where you want it to be. If you have any of these little teeny tiny holes that you feel aren't covered yet, just push that in. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Pretty good. Now we are going to take a little piece of dry paper towel, because I find that this helps keep my fingers a little bit clean. And we're just going to rub that. It is not going to clean it entirely because we have pushed ink all over this mask, but I am going to show you how to clean it. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, I think that looks good. That is clean enough. I'm just going to open this and fold it to the other side. We'll do that with our next one. All right, so now this is when you're going to need some new Post-it note tape, because you are getting ink on your Post-it note tape with this. All right, you can lift this up now, pull that off, and then there is your layer. Oops, of course it's not going to fall out, Nancy. It has glue dots on it. Hang on. All right, so there is our mask. I'm going to move our project over, and I want to show you a quick and easy way while you're at your table that you can clean your masks, okay? I have 2 chamois in here. I am going to put this face down and put this one right on top of it. And I'm going to try to push all of that ink into the bottom chamois. Okay, I'm going to lift that up. It's not too bad. And then now I can hold this and then just fold this other chamois in half and get most of that ink right off of there. Okay, when you're finished crafting for the day, I do recommend just taking them to the sink and running some warm water over them and drying, because our ink is water soluble, so it's just gonna fall right on off once we hit it with some water at the sink. But at least this way, your masks are clean enough to use for another project, because sometimes ink will kind of seep underneath on the back side, so you do want to make sure you clean the front and the back. Ask me how I know. There may be a piece in my recycling can that might resemble that. Alrighty. Okay, so that is, and then now we're just going to twist this off with that little, well, we have two little glue dots there. And now we can just lay this down on our table and use our finger just to roll those glue dots right on off of there. Okay? All right, so that is layer number one. When I trim this up, I'm going to trim off this edge, a little bit off this edge, and then a little bit from the top and the bottom. Okay, and then I will have a panel this size to put on a card front. Okay, so that is just straight ink blending, kind of the same level of ink that we have done. Now let's move over to our houndstooth mask. Okay, again, I am going to use a quarter panel that I will then cut down. Let's grab another glue dot. Push that onto the back. Alrighty. And now we can just attach that right there. Alrighty. Now, let's lay our mask over top. And this is going to cover the whole thing. Let me move that paper towel out of here. So I'm going to grab some more Post-it note tape. And I find this Post-it note tape on Amazon. I'm sure you can find it in office supply stores as well. There we go. So we have 4 pieces of Post-it note tape holding that up. This time I want to get like an ombre look. So I'm going to ink up the blending brush, start real heavy at the top, and then fade down to the bottom. Okay. So we're going to use our Blueberry Bushel again, because this is a really bright color and you can really kind of get the sense of the ombre with it. So I'm going to start real heavy at the top. Okay, and I'm going back and forth and really pushing that ink through those little holes. And now, without re-inking, I'm going to tend to just go all the way down and go another layer down. Okay, and keep moving down. We're just going to use the initial amount of ink that was on the brush. I'm going to keep moving down. And be sure to change direction every now and then so you are getting that ink coverage through the mask on all of the sides. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. All right, this is just for a background of a card. So now I can pull off, let's just pull this off. There we go. And you can see how it starts really dark at the top. And then as we move down, it's a little bit lighter. I did it very light before. I think I didn't re-ink the brush at all from the snowflakes that I did. So you can see the amount of ink you start with on your brush is going to be, will determine the amount of ink that pushes through the mask and then how dark your project will be. Okay, oops, I guess I should hold this. Oh, I must have put the mask on the other way. Ooh, look at that. Yes, with this mask, you could put it either way. Yes. See, before I must have had this side down because I'm like, why are they not lining up? Alrighty, so we're gonna pull off our Post-it note tape again and get rid of that. I'm gonna move this out of the way. I forgot to do the dry paper towel. So I am just going to put this right here and try to press this through. I'm pressing most of the ink into the chamois below. Okay, and then lift it up, and now I'm going to just fold this chamois and wipe off the rest of it. Okay. And the chamois are damp, but not drippy. That way I can pick it up and fold it up like a burrito and kind of use it to just wipe off that ink. You can see all that blue ink that came off of there. Okay, so that is how we can get the ombre look. Now the last one we're going to do, let me move this mask out of our way as well. Here we go. I'll pull this off. Pull that glue dot off, and then just roll it up with your finger. There we go, and pull it off. Okay, so that is another background ready to go. Now the last one we are not going to do with the blueberry bushel, so I'm going to move that out of the way, but we are going to need the pecan pie, the old olive, the Daffodil Delight, and we're bringing in, there's our Daffodil Delight and old olive. We're gonna bring in some Cajun Craze as well, okay? So I am gonna get this out of our way. I'm gonna actually, this one is so juicy, I'm gonna lay that in a paper towel so I don't put my hand in it. Let's move this out of our way. All right, our last one is going to be the fall foliage, okay? And I'm going to show you how to get this variegated kind of look without moving the mask at all, okay? We're going to put the mask down one time, and then we are going to get layers of ink on here so that we have kind of a subtle fall look, okay? All right, we're not going to need early espresso. That was a little too dark when I was playing with that. All righty, first let's check. Do I have any glaring blue? No, I'm good. All righty, so we're going to use our glue dot trick one more time. I am just going to tear this string off because we're finished with those. And just going to lay this on our work paper, okay? And we're going to just lay our mask down. Let's see if I'm flipping this one over too. Try to get it. Okay, here's how I did it. I want it to look similar to that. All right, so I'm going to lay the mask down, grab some Post-it note tape one more time, and then just tape that to the edge just to hold that in place while we're pushing the blending brushes around. All right, the first color we're going to do is our Daffodil Delight. Okay, you start with the lightest color first. All right, so we're going to push this one through. I don't want it to be glaringly sunshiny yellow, so I'm going to go a little lighter on it because I want a little bit of a subtle look, okay? So not loading the brush a whole bunch, but yet enough to get all of the images at least in a layer of Daffodil Delight. Okay, I think that looks good. All right, we can close that up. I am going to move the brush over here out of the way. I'm going to grab another piece of dry paper towel. And without lifting up the stencil, I'm just kind of trying to get as much of the Daffodil Delight ink off of the front of the mask as possible. We are starting with our lightest color and going darkest, so that if the blending brush picks up a little bit of ink that may have been left on the mask, it's not going to pollute the the ink pad if you need to dip it in to re-ink the blending brush, if you know what I mean. Okay, so that looks pretty clean right there. I can just fold that over and use that again. The next color I want to do is the Old Olive. Let me make sure there aren't any questions because I haven't looked up in a long time. Oh, good. Good. No. Okay. So here is our Old Olive brush. And again, I'm not going to load this up with a ton of color, just a little bit. And this time, instead of circular motions, we're going to tap. Okay. You're going to tap wherever you want some Old Olive, and it's going to go through that mask. I need a little more ink on here. It's going to go through that mask and onto the yellow that we've already laid down, onto that Daffodil Delight we've already laid down. So I just want some green every now and then. Just partial parts of the leaves, sometimes not the whole leaf, just maybe the tippy top, because then we're going to add more color to it later. Okay, just feel like I need a little bit more over here, and you can tell where you've placed the color already that you're working on, because you're going to see it on the front of the mat, okay? So, all right, there's a little more. I might blend a little bit here. I just don't want to blend all over it. Okay, just adding some here. Okay. All right, I think that's good for, oops, I have a hair in my ink pad. And it's gray, so it's one of mine. All right, so we're finished with that. Now we're going to take our dry paper towel again and kind of go over and try to lift up what we have left on the mask from the Old Olive. Doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Okay. And then if you have any little pieces of paper towel, just brush them off or blow them off or whatever. All right, we can open this up and use another side of it. Now we're going to use a little bit of pecan pie. And again, we're just going to like lightly, we don't want it really loaded. I'm going to tap some of that off. All right, so like my acorns, I want them to have a little bit of brown to them. So I'm kind of honing in on where those acorns are. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to get the whole acorn or all of the acorns. Like we have a green one there, but that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to tap a little bit of that leaf there. Little part down here, and I need to get a little bit at the bottom. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. We have some pretty even coverage around there. So that's enough of the pecan pie. Alrighty. Oh my word, I'm going very long today. I'm sorry about that. All right, so now we're going to take our dry paper towel again on a clean part of it and wipe off that ink as much as we can. And we're not moving the mask. That's the key. You don't need to move the mask. All right, now for just a little pop. I mean, this looks good, I think, the way it is, because this is what it's going to look like basically on the front of our cardstock once we take the mask off. But I thought it just needed a little pop of Cajun Craze. So let's open up our ink pad and just add a little bit of Cajun Craze. You know what else would be pretty is cherry cobbler. Maybe with this one. I don't know. Let's see how this looks when I'm done. Let's just add a little bit of Cajun Craze around here. Cherry cobbler might be a little too bright for this, because I'm kind of going for like the muted fall look for this card. So I'm just tapping it through here on the mask again. I'm going to get a little Cajun Craze on that side of that leaf. A little bit there. And down here, let's add a little bit more to the bottom of that leaf. So as you can see, there is no rhyme or reason to this. It's wherever you want to add the color. You just tap it on through. Okay, I think that is good. All right, I could do that all day, but for time's sake, let's clean this one up now. Let's do our dry paper towel one more time, and then we'll be able to lift it up and see what it looks like. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. Okay, now we can just lift this up because the Post-it note tape is going to come off. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it, love it. I'm going to just put this to the side. I will clean that once we're finished. So we can just twist this off of our work paper now. Okay. And then just ball up that little glue dot and pull it off. And then this is our layer now. So isn't that pretty, the way the colors just kind of blend together? I love that. I just love that. So I will be making cards with these different layers in the next couple of days and showing them to you. I did not design cards for them for this video, but I did want to just show you the different ways you can use the other masks in addition to the sunflower mask. Okay, so this is what we did today. I'll be trimming these down and making these into other cards. But this is the card we made today with the sunflower mask. I'm going to be honest with you, I love sunflowers, so even if these other three masks were not part of the pack, I would have purchased that because I just love sunflowers. So if you are interested in the, let's see what they are called again, so I call them the right name, the Abundant Beauty Decorative Masks, you can find them on my online store. And they are back in stock. They weren't in stock for a little bit, but they are back in stock. So if you are interested in these, get them as soon as you can, because I do not know how many came back in stock. And I do not know if they sell out again, if they will get more back in. So if you love these as much as I do, don't hesitate. I would get them as soon as you can. So let me double check for any last minute questions. No. Okay, that's good. All right. Thank you all so much. I will be back. I won't be back next week. That's right. We have a team shoebox swap that afternoon. So I'm going to move my Saturday Facebook to a Sunday Facebook for next week. Okay? So thank you so much for joining me, and I will talk with you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.